What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling Podcast, the only wrestling podcast where the hot takes are reckless, the debates are personal, and somehow we're still married.
I'm Mr. Wrestling
And I'm Mrs. Wrestling, and tonight this is a big one.
because we're officially on the road to the Royal Rumble, which means chaos, prize entrances, ad fantasy booking, and at least one moment that's going to break wrestling Twitter for 48 straight hours.
But before we start throwing out Final Four locks and wildly irresponsible winner predictions, we've got to rewind and talk about Saturday night's main event. What worked, what didn't, and what absolutely felt like a Rumble audition tape.
And because this episode is too important to mess around with, we activated the triple threat.
That's right. We went to the bullpen, we made the call, and we brought in the one, the only, our resident AEW whisperer, the man who never dodges a take. Joe is in the building.
Tonight, we're breaking down the men's and women's Royal Rumbles, calling our shots, predicting the surprises, overthinking the numbers, and probably talking ourselves into at least one pick we'll regret immediately.
So buckle up, fire up the entrance music, and start counting down from 30.
This is the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling Podcast, Royal Rumble Preview Edition. Let's get into it.
All right. I didn't say hi, Joe. Hi. I'm sorry. I was rude. I was obviously entranced by, teams.
You're good. No worries. Hello, everybody.
All right, so Saturday night's main event, guys. This show is pretty good, actually. We'll just jump right in here. There was a WWE Women's Tag Team Title match between Rio, which is Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, and the Judgment Day, Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. They defeated the Judgment Day in 13 minutes and 22 seconds. So what do you guys think about this match? Did it do anything for the upcoming Rumble, or how did you feel about it?
I thought it was a really good match. I think even in the loss, Liv Morgan is a top woman in WWE's discussion. She's talented. She gets a pop. She has a really good presence. And could this potentially set up Roxanne versus Liv Mania match, Joe?
I thought the match was really good. Some poor wrestling at times. Excuse me. Uh, no, I think it's going to set up some tension in the Rumble. I could definitely see those two having a spot, which causes some friction. But otherwise, I don't really see them splitting up Rhea and Io right now. I think they're a good hot act right now. So we'll see what's next.
I was actually kind of shocked that Liv Morgan didn't turn on Roxanne Perez at Saturday night's main event because the announcer said something that made me feel like they were going to split up or she was going to turn on Roxanne, but she didn't.
Yeah, it's more for the Rumble that you would see like the seeds being planted for that. It could be something like Liv's in the corner and, like a Hogan 90, Hogan 88, 89, where he throws over Macho Man and somebody else and you were in the line of fire. I could see something like that happening with
Yeah.
Roxanne and Liv and that planting the seeds. But yeah, they're just gonna start building to that. We got a while till Mania. It's not till April, so plenty
Yeah.
of time to build.
Yeah, that makes sense. We are just on the road and not, in the throes. Okay, so then there was a singles match. AJ Styles picks up the win against Shinsuke Nakamura in 21 minutes and 17 seconds. I loved this match. I thought it was incredible. You guys are the experts. What say you?
What a match! I mean, was this better than Wrestle Kingdom?
I mean, they could have had this match at the Tokyo Dome this year. It was that good. Nakamura got a little bit winded there toward the end, but that's probably the best match he's had in years since he's been with WWE NXT. He definitely knew it was AJ's last match with him, so I think they wanted to put on a spectacular performance, and they definitely delivered.
Yeah, I mean, so far, granted, we're what 24 days into the year. This is your match of the year match so far. Similar to how Kenny had his standout match last year in January. This is it right now for WWE. It's the best Nakamura has been in years, like you said, Joe. And AJ is showing that he shouldn't be retiring because he can still go at a top level. And Mayor, we were talking about this last night. I wish this would lead to a 1 year AJ AEW run
Yeah.
because that Omega Styles match that they teased in New Japan, 10 years ago. I think, man, that at All in Wembley, that's a match right there.
It's hard to say. I mean, he's the one that wants to, you know, kind of finish things up here. So, I mean, I know he's been wrestling for almost 30 years. The guy's in his late 40s, I believe. I could see him actually being one person that doesn't come back, or maybe because of the production side of things, like some of the other guys have done. Their careers are over. I mean, I think he's too good, in my opinion, to retire. But, you know, I'm sure his body's beat. So, you know, all the travel and everything compounding on top of the bumps and the bruises. You know, he did the right thing, you know, when he went there. Was it been 10 years now? I think it was 2016, I think, Royal Rumble when he made his debut. Um, yeah, I mean, he was able to kind of strike when the iron is hot, so to speak, leaving from you know, New Japan and coming over and getting the big paydays. So good for him. I'm sure he's taking care of his, you know, financial situation with his family, so he can kind of go out on his own. I don't know if you saw what Nakamura posted, and then had to pull it, but it sounds like,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, AJ might be done this weekend, so we'll see.
I think he is, but I think he will be done this weekend because, you know, Michael Cole and I don't know who was the other announcer, Wade Barrett, like they
Mm.
gave a standing ovation. Like, you know, how perfect would it be for him to go out the way he came in at a Royal Rumble match? You know, like, well, not in the match itself, but in the pay-per-view, you know, like he came in 10 years ago at Royal Rumble and it would be the perfect ending for him. And I don't know. What do you guys think? You think this might be it?
I mean, not to spoil what we're gonna be talking about later, but, you know, yeah, it's all signs are pointing to that, and he's mentioned this for a while. He wanted to stop at 40.
Mm.
So, I mean, the fact that we got this long is has been good, and he's had a way better run in WWE than anybody would have predicted for him, and especially, like, how it started and, you know, the shaky matches with Jericho and then the Shane McMahon feud. But once he won the title, he really stepped it up. You know, him and Gallows and Anderson had a real nice run. You know, he really led SmackDown into the end of the McMahon era and was, you know, doing really good things over there. And, you know, he's an all-time great for sure. He's put in his time. And, you know, I still remember when he left TNA, how big of a deal that was. And I remember seeing the reports that, man, to get AJ Styles at an indie, it's 10 grand just to get him to walk in the door. And back then everybody thought that was, oh my God, that's astronomical. How could you pay that? And now people they'd pay that in a second to get him in a show.
And one thing to keep in mind too, he was never slotted when he came in to be a world champion in WWE. He was not Vince McMahon's prototypical singles male world champion, and he won Vince McMahon over. So that just tells you how good of a performer that AJ Styles is.
Yeah, he's known. I've never heard anything negative about him, his work ethic. There's never been a bad report, you know, from any promotion, and he's worked them all. You know, he got his break at the end of WCW. So going from WCW to TNA to Ring of Honor, New Japan, you know, then to WWE and every indie around the world, you know, everywhere in Europe. So, I got the Bullet Club shirt on. That's what got me back into New Japan because it was like, wow, they got AJ Styles. Like, that's a big deal. And when he went to New Japan, he was instantly on top.
Oh yeah, he was the IWGP champion there for a while, and he had some good feuds when he was in the Bullet Club. Yep.
We'll definitely have to do a AJ Styles episode at some point, you know, after he retires, because he's had such a long career and he's done so many good things.
You could
Hey,
do
Mayor,
one. You could do one on each company he's been in. You could do a TNA retrospect, a Ring of Honor retrospect, and
Yeah,
then now
New
is
Japan.
WWE. Yeah.
hey, before we get to the next match, I do want to talk about that brawl that opened the show,
Yes.
because it did build to you know, some storyline advancement that's going to be coming up. So for those that didn't see, it was advertised Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu. And then Fatu basically, going to give you the short story. He just jumped Cody and it turned into a brawl all over the building for about 15 minutes or so. They had security geeks getting beat up and the referees everywhere. And finally, they're standing on this platform, and McIntyre just comes out and lays both Cody and Fatu out. So it looks like, based on that, I mean, I think we could be looking at a triple threat at Mania if that's the route they choose.
With Cody, Fatu, and and Drew
McIntyre,
McIntyre.
possibly, all depending on what they do with Sammy and Drew. I mean, you could always do the feel good finish at the Rumble and have, I know we're jumping ahead here. You could have Sammy win it, but you could always pull the title off the quick too and get it back on Drew if they really wanted to. But I did like, I didn't necessarily like we didn't get the match that they advertised, but it's not like those guys didn't have a fight. They put it out there for about 15 minutes, so it was enjoyable and it furthered the story because I know they wanted to protect both guys, Fatu and Cody. So that's why they did that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the goal of this feud is because I feel, and Mayor, we talked about this earlier. Cody is entering where he was at the end of his AEW run, where a lot of the older crowd and the non-kids are starting to get tired of the Cody. They're starting to get tired of the, good guy, the QB1, kissing babies, shaking hands. They want to see the Ring of Honor Cody. They wanna see the fur coat. They wanna see the egotistical, coming out with Bernard the Business Bear type Cody,
That was
you
like
know?
one of my favorite things he did.
Yeah. That's what they wanna see, and I don't know if they're gonna do that because he's such a merch maker. I could see this being like a four-way type deal if they're gonna do something to include Roman, because Roman's gotta be involved heavily in something, but I don't think it's gonna be for the title. I think if anybody's getting a shot at Drew, if I had to put money on it, I would say it's gonna be Lesnar because
Yeah, I don't hate that.
I think because he's wrapping up this year too. He's probably finishing up at SummerSlam, which will be another notch in Gunther's belt. I'll tell you that now because they're going to feed him the Gunther just like they're feeding AJ to him.
But they
And
just do it now and get it over with.
because SummerSlam's in his home city and they're going to book that out and sell that out.
Yeah.
And I think they give Drew the redo from COVID and let him go over Lesnar one more time at Mania and cements him as like the top guy, as like the menacing force, and could eventually lead to Drew and Gunther, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I like all those scenarios. Just have to see, see exactly what Triple H's plans are.
Yep.
So does that mean that Lesnar would be in the Rumble and he'd potentially win it, or he would just get a chance because he's Brock Lesnar?
He could win the Rumble. There's also Elimination Chamber. Don't forget about Chamber.
Yeah, so the winner of Chamber also gets a title shot at Mania.
Yep.
Right.
And we'll break down the different ramifications on who wins and where that could lead here in just a few minutes.
Oh, there was one more match on the show. I forgot. We were like so already in the talking about Cody and Rumble, but in WrestleMania. But then there was the undisputed WWE number one contendership fatal four-way match. This was Sami Zayn, Damian Priest, Randy Orton, and Trick Williams. Sami Zayn, hometown guy, he picked up the win here. This match was 17. How did you guys feel about it?
I thought it was a real solid match. The thing that stood out the most to me was Trick Williams. Like, man, looks like $1 million,
Yeah.
gets the big entrance. The crowd is into it. They want him. If he's booked right, man, he could be a big deal. He's got to improve a little bit in the ring and actually be able to carry a match for, 10, 12 plus minutes. And his mic skills got to just tighten up a little bit, but I feel like the sky's the limit for him, Joe.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, you can tell that they're protecting him now finally, since he got called up. I know he's got the potential. I'm glad that they didn't make him, take the pin, especially in such a big spot for Sammy. So I think he has. I don't think, like you said, I don't think he's there just yet. He needs to improve a little bit. But yeah, I mean, in terms of an athlete, what a just a impressive athlete, and his ring skills are pretty good as well. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not scared to take some of those bumps and fly around the ring. So I think they just got to put a little bit of polish on him, and he'll probably be a big deal for them.
There was one point in the match where Randy was throwing all the guys on the table and it looked like he could even hardly lift Trick. I don't know if it's because he was like the final guy that he lifted or what, but I mean, he looks like a wrestler, he fit right in there, he's as big as Randy Orton, it felt like. He's so tall and yeah.
He was a tight end in the NFL, if I remember correctly. I think he played for the Eagles.
His background was in football, and then he jumped to WWE. Well, NXT and did developmental for a while there. And he's also been, on some other promotions since they had the partnerships now. So he's been getting some work elsewhere, which is really, really good for someone like.
Yeah, we saw him in Pittsburgh over the summer when he was TNA champion and feuding with Joe Hendry. And, he again, same thing there. He carries himself like a star. His extra time in NXT, I think, has helped him, and the same can be said for Oba. It's really like sharpened them and helped them get to that next level.
Agreed. I mean, they got some potentials there for some big stars going forward. Just have to give them a little bit of time. But yeah, I agree.
The other thing was what I expected was Sammy picking up the win, hometown guy getting the win. But for me, what stands out is Sammy's always the one to win the big match to get to the big match, but he never wins the big match.
Always the
Right.
bridesmaid.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it would be huge for him to win in Saudi, but I just don't see it.
Well, he wasn't even allowed there for a while, right? So it would
Yep.
it would piss them off if he won, wouldn't it?
No, he's actually big there now.
Yeah,
Oh, is
they love
he?
him. They love
Yeah.
him now.
What's not to love it? Sami Zayn.
And,
Well, then
and he's
after the
he's fluent.
after the match too, McIntyre comes out for the beatdown, and Sammy, was able to duck him and toss him out. They didn't end the show with unnecessary heat on McIntyre's. That was a good thing. But this was the best Saturday Night's Main Event since they brought it back. In the early to mid 2000s. I forget what year that was, like 2006 or something. They've always just kind of been. They kind of reminded you of like Battle of the Belts. They were just kind of placeholder shows that really didn't do much. And now that they've kind of reincarnated it, so to speak, for the last little bit here in the past year, it's been really good. I thought entertaining, and this one was, I think, hands down the best. All the matches were great. So hopefully that
Yeah,
continues the trend.
it was really.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good one. WWE's been on a run. Raw was pretty good this week. I enjoyed that a lot, and this was good. And the Royal Rumble's always entertaining.
Oh yeah, it always is. I mean, that's everybody's usually their favorite because you can have a non fan, a casual fan can watch those very easily. It's an easy watch for sure.
Yeah. So let's get to our Royal Rumble preview. Yes, as you said, Royal Rumble is a lot of people's favorites. It's my favorite of all of the pay-per-views, even over WrestleMania. It's one that I watched I mean, for people that don't know, and I'm sure, Joe, you don't know because we haven't talked about wrestling together except for on here. I watched in the Attitude Era when I was a teenager, and I really loved it for a little while there and then like fell off until I met Steve. And so Royal Rumble was even my favorite match back then. Like my brother and I would play PlayStation and we would do Royal Rumbles and I'd always be Mankind and I'd always beat him, but it's hands down my favorite. I think it's just so much fun, taking bets who's going to win, all of the information they give you about the previous Rumbles, like this many people enter at 27 and win, just I think all of the incredible historical moments throughout the years, like it's just my absolute favorite. So we'll go ahead and jump into some of the matches first. But first, do you guys have any thoughts or anything you want to say about the Rumble, the pay-per-view itself? Any fond memories or, where does it fall on your favorites of the pay-per-views?
I mean, I love the Rumble. It's always been fun. I remember I had the first Rumble recorded on Betamax and had that forever, and that was always one of my favorites. 92, 2000 were always, some of my favorites. There was, matches throughout that were great matches. Like today, we had the Cactus Jack Triple H match. That was a fantastic match. Benoit versus Angle was a great match. The Shawn Michaels Triple H one. Joe, we were at the only 40-man Royal Rumble, and then we were at the infamous CM Punk one in Pittsburgh as well.
Yeah, I think the and it's just subjective, obviously, but I think the best Rumble ever was the '92 Rumble when Flair won the WWF title. Not necessarily because of the match itself. It was very entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but if you look at the names, if you actually looked at the names of the guys in that match, it's probably the most star-studded Rumble they ever had. But yeah, I mean that was probably my favorite of all time. And like I said, I've had the honor to go to a couple and kind of to be there and to experience it is definitely a really cool thing, especially when they do the surprise entrance. Chris Jericho this year, probably. Yeah, I mean, it's a very easy match for fans to get into. That's why it's always been a lot of people's favorites. So I always look forward to the Rumble. I have not missed one since I've been. Actually, I remember watching the first one when I was a kid, so I've never missed a Rumble. Yeah, looking forward to this one as well.
And there's always been, like, outside of the Rumble matches themselves, normally on each and every show, there's at least one, like, wow, standout match. Like, even going back to that first one, that Jumping Bomb Angels match, that was one of the first women's matches that really got attention in US, homes. So that was a huge one. 92, I really loved that opening tag match with the Oriental Express and uh High Energy. That was a great match.
Yeah, usually the first match. Well, I know they have the two Rumbles now, but they used to always try to put on a really hot first match to kind of get the crowd into it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great that it's early this year instead of late because, inevitably we always we being me and the kids fall asleep before the end of one of the rumbles, whichever one goes on last. I think it's usually the men's rumble that goes on last. So, yeah. All right, we'll start talking about some of the matches. So, we do have the singles match between AJ Styles and Gunther. Joe, do you have any thoughts about this match or what are you kind of expecting from it?
You kind of touched on it a little bit. I think it looks like he's going to be done. But I do expect it to be a fantastic match because you got two, the best in ring in the world. It'll be interesting the crowd reaction. But aside from that, I expect the match to be fantastic. I don't know that I don't know that I'd tap AJ out, but it's possible. Again, I think it's going to probably be with whatever he wants to do at the end of the day.
They can't tap him out though. John Cena tapped out.
Yeah, I mean,
Listen, if Cena can tap out, anybody can tap out.
It would be so redundant though.
that's going to be Gunther's his calling card. He taps everybody out before they leave.
I mean, I told you this months ago. I mean, I think we started talking about this in what, October, Mayor? And I laid it out and I said, look, it's going to start with Cena. It's going to be Gunther. He already took out Goldberg. Now Cena. Now AJ. Bookmark it in August. We're going to be talking about this again. It's gonna be Lesnar, and then
Yeah.
a year from now at Saudi Arabia, again, he's gonna tap out Jericho, and that's gonna be the end of Jericho in WWE. I mean, they're building Gunther to be the Thanos of WWE. He's gonna be the guy that you see at the end, and when you see him coming, that's it. What are you gonna do? There's nothing you can do. It's inevitable, and he's a monster. He's the best big man in wrestling right now. He's one of the most complete wrestlers. And, if you need a big heel, outside of MJF, he's probably the best heel in the business right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's like you said, he's the intimidating big heel that is just taking everybody's beloved people out. So it's a great way to book him too, because when you see him with somebody, there's always that possibility. He can take him out. So I like the way that they booked him and with this character.
If this was 1986, he'd be battling Hogan at WrestleMania.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, and he'd be taking the big boot in the leg too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Then the other match that we're going to have on the card is the undisputed WWE title match, which we know is Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. What can we expect from this match, Steve?
I think it's going to be a good match. Drew's going to want to steal the show. Sammy always goes all out, and he's going to be extra fired up for this. I wouldn't expect anything less than a outstanding contest here. But again, I don't see Drew losing. I don't see Sammy, breaking the curse and, getting over the hump. Let's revisit Sammy at like SummerSlam maybe, but also just don't know if they see Sammy as the main guy. He's great as the guy that is there for the chase, but I don't know if they see him as the guy to carry the flag.
I don't
Yeah,
see him being the champion for Mania. I think that Drew's the right pick for staying the champ through Mania. I don't think Sammy fits the mold for it, based on how they book their champs.
I mean, you could go. I don't mind if they do a quick title switch here. It would be the feel good story. He wins the number one contendership in his hometown, and then he goes across the pond and where he's beloved now, and possibly win it there. I think the fan reaction would be just alone to have that on video for years to come would be something. You could do like they kind of like they did, and I liked an analogy there about do they see him as the guy who's great for the chase? Kind of reminded me of when Ricky Steamboat won the NWA title. The fans went crazy for it, but at the end of the day, they realized he was the guy that should be chasing and not the guy on top. Not that his in ring work was second to none, really, at that era, but he was more for the chase, and that's why they put the belt back on Flair after their trilogy of matches, which were incredible. If you've never seen them, Mary, go back and watch them. But yeah, I mean, they could go that route too. Give them a quick little 1 month run, and then flip it on whoever is going to be in your main event at WrestleMania.
I mean, they've taken the belts off guys before, like Kevin Owens and stuff, right before Mania, so somebody else could have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's me. And what's more powerful than a podcast of husband and wife, the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling Podcast, where they're going to give you everything you need to know. They're going to hit you with the scoops. They're going to fill you in on everything pro wrestling, which includes me, the king of NXT, Lexus King. So stop what you're doing right now and check out your Apple TV or wherever you get your podcast fix for the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling Podcast. But don't forget, long live Lexus King.
All right, so we're going to start with our Royal Rumble winner picks. We'll each pick our winner for the men and women's matches, and we can kind of, hash it out, who thinks who is right, things like that. I mean, I'll go ahead and start. Obviously, I'm the more casual of the three of us. I watch, but not every week. I just feel like Cody is going to win the men's Rumble for the third year in a row. I think that, we had John Cena, beat Ric Flair's record, and certainly Cody winning this year isn't him beating Steve Austin for the amount of wins in a Royal Rumble. But I think that it just makes sense, taking the title off of him. And I think, I don't know, to me, it makes the most logical sense to get him back on top, have him fight for it and get his title back at WrestleMania. So he's kind of my men's pick. Steve, do you have a men's pick?
Yeah, I'm going if he's doing double duty, I'm gonna go with Gunther. Why not? Keep the positive momentum going with him. I was kind of thinking if they didn't do the match here, they could build it towards Mania and have AJ eliminate Gunther and that be his way of getting the win back. But, they're ending it with AJ here. But yeah, I could definitely see Gunther pulling it out.
Yeah.
I think I like both of those choices. I don't know if like we kind of talked about with Cody a little bit earlier. Do they really want to give him another win? He make him, not that the Royal Rumble isn't earning it, but make him win the Chamber, or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I think Gunther's a great idea if they are going to go that route, Steve, with double duty. I know traditionally they used to not have guys do that for a while there. They used to back in the earlier Rumbles, but they kind of got away from that. So it'll be interesting to see if they do that. I mean, Cody, Gunther, either one of those I'm good with. I'd even be good with a surprise out of nowhere, literally a surprise. Like what? Not that they would do it, but what about like Powerhouse Hobbs? You know what I mean? That he just signed. There's a lot of routes you could go. Hell, they could have Jericho win it. I mean, there's a lot of routes that could go here. So we'll see. I think Cody maybe save him for the Chamber because I think it might alienate some of the fans if he wins it again so soon. So we'll see.
Get to
Also,
my
go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I
When
was
we
just
get to my heart pick, I got a surprise for you, so stay tuned.
We'll
I
do.
mean, they also could have Cody win the Rumble as a way for like if they were to turn him heel, like we kind of said they probably don't want to do that because of all the merch sales and Steve and I were talking about kids, how the kid fans love him as a baby face, but the adults want him to turn heel. What if he did win the Rumble, but in like a super heel kind of way, and he turns? Like that would be awesome. I think it would be great if, if they use that moment. Chamber would be great, but, I don't know if there's any way he'd be able to go heel on his Rumble win. When he wins, I'm declaring it.
There you go.
Let's talk the Women's Royal Rumble. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. I feel like you guys have more of a pulse on what's going on. I picked Raquel or Bianca. I know that we're kind of waiting for Bianca to come back, and it would be really great to let her have her WrestleMania moment. I know she's had it before, but Raquel has been feuding with Stephanie Vicor, and she's been doing more. She's really been leaning into like her size and wrestling like a big person would wrestle. The advice that Steve, you said Nash gave her or something, Kevin Nash. So I kind of, I don't know if she's got the it factor, but just for feud alone, it would be kind of cool if she, won the Rumble and was able to, have a title match at Mania with Stephanie Vicor. I think that would be cool. Joe, what's your pick for the Women's Rumble?
I think there's a lot of routes you could go. I don't hate Raquel. You know, Bianca's due back. That would be a really cool thing for her to come back and win it. You can always do the Morgan, Rhea Ripley. But there's a lot of options. I know Charlotte Flair will probably be in there with Alexa Bliss. I mean, they got a lot of women that are on a high level right now. The fans see as true stars. So there's a lot of routes that they can go. And I think as long as they don't overdo the booking, which I think really kills the women's matches, is they try to overdo spots and things like that. Just keep it simple. Use your storylines that you already have. You can tease, Roxanne and Liv, having some issues, tension. Keep it simple. I don't like to see it's too crazy with the booking. I think they overbook the women's rumble, and they really shouldn't. They should just keep it simple, keep it old school. And I think it's more enjoyable that.
Yeah, I got Bianca winning it. I haven't seen any long-term story building with Jade, and I think they've just been waiting to reintroduce Bianca, and that's going to be the big push for Mania for her because I hate to break it to everybody, Jordan Grace is not going to beat Jade Cargill for the women's title anytime soon. As much as I like Jordan Grace and appreciate her more than Jade, that's just not the direction WWE's going. And they're all about moments. And the thing that worries me about a lot of the stuff we're talking about and, playing out here is how big of a role is Netflix and this Unreal show going to be in their booking? Are they going to book things just for those moments for the show and then change course at the drop of a dime just to go back to, maybe what they actually want to do?
Yeah, I mean, you figure they're on Netflix. They still have the NBC affiliation, and they have their own USA and all their pay-per-views or whatever they call them now, PLEs. They're all on ESPN app. So it's like you got a lot of different mouths to feed there and egos to deal with. So it's a great point. I think at the end of the day, Triple H is smart enough that he's going to try to protect the product as best he can. So, you can't have too many hands in the cookie jar, so to speak. And I think he'll be smart enough to say, look, this is our product, not whoever else's.
All right, guys, we're going to talk about our surprise entries into the Royal Rumble. We're going to judge them on 3 different criteria. One is the crowd melter, one's the polite pop, and one is the bathroom break. I'm just going to fire off all 3 of mine. My crowd melter is going to be Chris Jericho. I will shit myself. I love Chris Jericho. He's been my all-time favorite. He's in my Mount Rushmore, and we haven't seen him. He's my crowd melter. My polite pop would be Powerhouse Hobbs. Like, it'd be cool to see him, but I'm not like a super fan. And then my bathroom break is Michelle McCool, because again, we have to see her in a Royal Rumble. Like, we get it. She's the Undertaker's wife. All right, let's put her to sleep. Like, we don't send her to Gunther. We don't need to see her in another Rumble. Steve, what's your 3?
So I'm with you on the crowd melter. I'm going with Chris Jericho. For my polite pop, I have the one and only Nick Nemeth. I could definitely see them bringing him over. Another one that I thought of because I just saw the breaking news is maybe we get Everything is Evil as a show up in Saudi Arabia. So that's a good one. And my bathroom break is coming off of the gigantic stinker On AMC, I'm going with the Iconics or the Inspiration, whatever you want to call them, for the Women's Rumble. That I can't get that horrible taste out of my mouth from watching that atrocious tag team match. But yeah, I think Jericho is going to be a big deal in Saudi Arabia, and he definitely has to come out to Judas if he's going to be coming out. What do you think,
Absolutely.
Joe?
Yeah, I agree. It's got to be Judas. It just makes the most sense. And it'll be more fresh for the WWE fans. I know they're overseas. Those fans will know who Chris Jericho is. So I'm with you there. Like I said, Hobbs, Evil, I think are good choices also as surprises. It's funny because all of your bathroom break ones were good. Yeah, I don't really I can't top that at all. So we'll go with those.
It's bad that it's all women too for our bathroom breaks. Like it's
Yeah, I mean, and
Nick
there's
Nemeth,
no disrespect to them either, but yeah, it's like I think at some point you gotta freshen it up a little bit. So
if it's Eve Torres, I'm turning it off. I'm telling you that now.
is she the one we saw in New York City when we were there for WrestleMania? Or was that somebody
N-
else?
no, that was
That
somebody
was Eva
else.
Marie. Eva
Yeah,
Marie.
Eve
That's
Marie.
it'd be great if Toriano popped up as a
Ugh,
surprise.
oh my gosh. That would be my crowd melter. Love me
I
a
quit.
mom butt in those capri pants.
I would
Steve would throw the TV out the window. He hates Toriano.
like I understand he's a good wrestler, but man, what a shit gimmick. Like I can't stand anything he does.
But
Like
the
and
cultural
now
misunderstanding, like
no,
it
I don't
doesn't
care.
cross the barrier. I'm like,
Uh,
he's leaving in a minivan and he's taking his
so
kids right to soccer. That's the vibe he's giving me. Like,
and now they got like Yo dressing up like him. Like now he's
mm.
like Yano Toro. He's got the same hair, the same attire. Like I was watching Wrestle Kingdom ready to like spaz like Toro Yano. Let's
That's
move on.
hilarious.
Let's move on
Okay,
before I leave.
we're gonna do our smart versus heart picks. So we're gonna have a smart pick, a heart pick, and a chaos pick, and we'll do one from each, the men's and the women's. I'll kick us off here. My smart pick would be Liv Morgan or Chelsea Green. I think that they would be good winners for the Rumble. I think it would be great, great to see Chelsea do something more and bigger. She's just doing more and more every week. Liv Morgan is over. People love her. I think if she won, that would be great too. My men's pick, of course, is Cody Rhodes. We kind of discussed that already. My heart pick, because the heart wants what the heart wants, it would be Roman Reigns and Rhea Ripley. If he won and she won, those would be the ones that I would be like, yes, I am satisfied. The chaos pick that would break Twitter would be The Rock. I don't feel like he's coming to win the Rumble, but if he did, the internet would break. And Nikki Bella, because, the internet would be so upset that she won. It would be terrible. It would be mass chaos in Saudi Arabia. They'd throw everybody out. Joe, what's your picks?
I think they're gonna go unless they do some dissension angle. I think it's gonna be Liv Morgan. I just feel like they see so much in her, and she really is. I mean, she's one of their top females, so I think they're gonna go that route. My personal would be I think Rhea Ripley is probably the biggest female star that they have right now, so I'd love for her, to win it. And then chaos pick probably something like a Nikki Bella. Sounds about right to me. I don't foresee them to do anything like that, but I just know I mean she's actually from what I read she's actually I guess gonna wind it down, but she's still gonna stay with the company and be like a mouthpiece and manager type deal. So I mean that doesn't mean she won't pop up in the Rumble for sure. So those are my three.
Yeah, for mine, my smart picks, I'm going with Cody and Bianca. I could definitely see them going the Cody route just to say that he tied Steve Austin to, try to get new records in there, make it for the guys that they want now. And Bianca, as we talked about earlier, the built-in feud with Jade, it's right there. For my heart picks, I'm women's side. I want Chelsea Green to win. I've been hyping it for months. I think she's ready. I think she would bring a whole new attraction to sports entertainment. And I think she could lose at WrestleMania and get over hotter because then she could turn into the hot mess. And I think that would add a whole new angle to her character. And my heart pick for the men, and this is my surprise one, Joe, is Obafemi. They have been hyping him up as the next big deal. I haven't seen promos like that and vignettes for that since Batista. That was the last time I really remember them hyping somebody up as like a big deal. And it would be a nice callback to Drew interrupting Oba's match to then give Oba the big time match at WrestleMania. Like, here's his coming out party. Yeah, maybe he doesn't get it done this time, similar to Okada when he went the first time, but you know, that would be my pick for the chaos pick. I'm going to go with Lesnar just because, people in Saudi Arabia, they would lose their minds for Brock Lesnar. He's the big attraction. He's the star of all stars. Regardless of what you think of him, he's well known everywhere. TKO would be behind him in a second. They could send him to these UFC shows. I would be shocked if he wasn't at the White House for that UFC show as like an ambassador, him and Triple H. So I could definitely see that.
Yeah, I like you guys' picks. I think there's a lot of routes that they can go here. So it'll be interesting to see because, like you said, on top of the surprises that we're going to get, probably at least two or three, like we talked about Jericho, Hobbs, maybe Evil. They have a lot of stories that they can crank up here heading into Chamber and WrestleMania. So it's gonna be fun to see what comes out of this and the directions that they go with everybody.
Awesome. Babe, you want to do the outro? We can go.
Yeah.
If you want to start it off, I'll follow.
Okay. All right. That's it for tonight. But make no mistakes, this was just the beginning.
The Royal Rumble isn't the destination, it's the ignition switch.
Because once those winners point at the WrestleMania sign, everything changes.
New rivals, old grudges, surprise pushes, panic booking, and at least one storyline that makes no sense until 3 weeks before Mania.
From here on out, every Raw, every SmackDown, every headline, every "Are they really doing this?" moment, we've got it covered.
WrestleMania season is officially here. The takes are about to get hotter, the debates louder, and the predictions way more reckless.
So make sure you're subscribed, tell a friend, tell an enemy, tell that one person who still thinks number 30 guarantees a win.
Because we'll see you on the road to WrestleMania.
This has been the Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling podcast, and we'll catch you next time.